Well, good day or good evening, whatever it might be for you when you might happen to come across this. For me right now, it's almost 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 12th of December, 12/12/2019 on the Gregorian calendar. I'll start right off by saying I haven't spoken for a while and I have a lot to say. Unfortunately, I can't speak as clearly and efficiently as I could before. And that's the reason for this video. So I want to share this experience. I want to share how I've dealt with this experience. I am dealing with this experience, a life-altering experience of having all my teeth removed. So I want to talk about the physical, the mental, the spiritual components of this for me. The things, the way I've processed it, dealt with it, looked at it, the way I see reality on a day-to-day basis and see symbolism in things. From, pictures, numbers, words, anyway. So I want to share this experience, how I'm going through it for a couple, well, really a few different reasons. Number one, because I care and I do want to help others. Number two is so others don't have to go through this experience, so they can try and correct things now so that it doesn't happen to them, because it is life-altering. It is traumatic. Anyway, and also sorry, it's been a while since I've spoken. I'm losing track already. Don't even know where to go. I have so much to say. But anyway, yeah, I want to share this so others don't go through this experience. Oh, and also for those that have or will, maybe give them a way to look at, or give them some tools or something maybe they can take from what I say, so it can help them process and deal with this kind of traumatic experience. Though for me, recognize the language I use, please, and this is a long preference, I apologize, but it's necessary because of the symbology part, what certain symbols mean to certain folks. I had to say all that up front because I don't want to trigger anyone by saying certain number combinations or certain symbols or whatever, because of the meaning they see associated with. I said all that up front to let you know where I'm coming from up front. So from the core of me, from my heart and soul, it's where this is coming from. And in my mind, the symbology that I've seen and found deep layered, interrelated meaning to, that I could relate to life, reality, and in myself in some way, shape, or form or fashion, and related to my experience. Recognize I took a very dark path through life unknowingly, serving the beast system, so to speak, and it led to where I am now, dealing with what I'm dealing with still. And I mentioned in some of my other videos that it was the thing that I just could not take care of on my own, or seem to recover from, come back from, fix, or heal, was my teeth and the damage to my teeth. So I want to tell the how and why, how it happened. There's a lot of factors. So where to start? Where to start with this? Oh, well, also about not being able to speak. all that efficient and clearly sometimes. These dentures, they're full upper, full lower. I got all of them, all my teeth extracted at once. The bottom especially, since they're the first set, they call them the healing set, or the set you wear while you heal, while the raw gums then try to heal. And anyway, it doesn't stay all that well in the bottom. So sometimes when I say certain word combinations or certain sound combinations, the way my tongue moves and the way the air moves, it makes things flop around sometimes, and it's difficult. I'm not self-conscious or embarrassed or any of those kinds of things, which I'm glad I went through the quite arduous healing process I went through a few years back when I got here. Realized everything almost I was taught was a lie, that I was a lie, that I knew absolutely, just about absolutely nothing for myself, but was only filled with the beliefs of others, and then trying to realize what had I done to myself. Anyway, if I hadn't gone through all of that, I don't think I could have handled this. And I am the proof of that. This problem I've had multiple teeth broken, multiple, fillings fall out because of so-called dental care. Anyway, my teeth were rotting out due to all kinds of toxins and things. The dental care I received was pretty shoddy, and my wife went through a very traumatic experience at a dentist, really akin to a horror movie, which one day she'll tell her story. What it comes down to, the teeth thing, the mouth thing, that pain and that the traumatic experience I've witnessed with my wife, powerless to help her, protect her, or anything, already when this was about 5 years ago or so, when I was already in such a broken state psychologically. I was absolutely insane and a psychopath, and to see it really messed me up. Anyway, I ended up developing pretty much a phobia. Also, along with that, after realizing all I realized here, going through the physical, mental, spiritual healing process I went through, realizing that the system itself was a lie, what it was, I didn't want to return out there for help, for anything. I didn't want to. And that went right along with my phobia. That fear I still had a fear of this issue and getting it taken care of. And at the end, I'll take them out. Just to show, not to show my gums. I don't want to subject anyone to that horrifying sight, because, well, to me it is. That's not to say anything derogatory to anyone that's had it done. My wife has had it done. But to me, like I said, it's a phobia, and it is such a traumatic experience and such an odd feeling. I'll get on to that later, but so now I'm losing myself. But I'll show you, I'm not joking. If you can't tell, this is the little container for it for now. Anyway, this is, it's going to be a months-long process of healing. So, all this rambling, I really haven't gotten to anything. But overcoming that phobia. My wife kept wanting me to go because she kept telling me it was going to end up killing me. I was going to get an infection from my teeth that were rotting. It was going to go through my blood. It was going to kill me. I had to keep reassuring her it wasn't like that, not yet, though. I went through pain, constant pain, in teeth, different teeth, broken teeth, whatever, for all of those years. since I got out of the military. And like I said, it's because I didn't want to go back. But I kept telling her, one of these days I'll finally ask you to call somewhere and make me an appointment, and I will get it done. I just kept putting it off, kept putting it off. And to tell you how deep and bad it was, well, and was seeing the world for what it is and what it is right now and what it was all along, and that really, it's much more, and it's about much more than anything that's happened or any of that dark stuff, which is why I don't want to be on and on about that. But really, in a way, I kept thinking maybe I won't have to deal with it. Maybe I won't have to go back there and go through this experience, because maybe something will happen. Maybe the world will end. Maybe the Empire will come and get me before then and get rid of me for the things I've said, or the things I know, or the stories I haven't told yet that aren't stories that I can't prove. But anyway, who cares? See, again, losing myself a bit. Oh, I lost myself good on that. Yeah, about where was I going? You know what? Let me just. Oh, yeah. I thought, yeah, maybe the world will end. Maybe something will happen. You know what? Whatever. I couldn't do that. I couldn't keep putting it off, because at some point it would have been something that killed me, and that would have been cowardly to leave my loved ones here in this place that I came to recognize, and then start to pass on the information of what had really happened best I could. And we all came together to try to figure out what's going on. And yeah, for me to just not want to suffer through this and take the easy way out. Not the easy way out, but you know, hoping to die instead of going through this experience. It's a bit cowardly and selfish of me. However, if I didn't have loved ones right now in this world, the way I see it, the way it is now, I don't know. Anyway, so let me start with the date thing. Finally, I asked my wife, okay, could you please go ahead and make that call to the dentist in my mind. This is how it was playing out. So this is how I was trying to deal with it. So let me try and go back and relive this a bit. In my mind, I knew the first appointment would be, also my mouth is very dry. Whole top covered in this acrylic. Bottom, whole gums covered in acrylic. So dry mouth, totally unnatural feeling. But it's something. Anyway, I asked her to make the call, and in my mind, I knew, okay, first visit is going to be the X-rays, and then you're going to talk about it or whatever, and then I'll have another appointment down the road, some weeks, maybe, down the road to actually get the extractions done. So, getting so good at living in the present moment and stretching that moment for very long coherent moments now, like I wasn't able to do for 39 years. Like I said, after that arduous healing process of getting toxins out, this and that and the other. You can see my earlier videos on all of that if you'd like. It didn't bother me so much for her to say, okay, the appointment's on the 18th, November 18th. And then I think she might have said then the following appointment was going to be something like December, early December. Or maybe that was just a guess. I don't recall. Anyway, like I said, in my mind, since it was just the appointment for the x-rays, there was the slightest tinge of anxiety for not even a moment. Then I dismissed it because it'd be down the road that I would have to deal with the rest, which I've spent these years trying to heal all these other things, knowing that this has been a problem that I'm going to have to go through. So I had spent long periods of time over these years in deep reflection inside and putting things together and considering and contemplating things and figuring things out, figuring myself out. So it's not that I hadn't thought about it. So anyway, something happened with I think it was the weather. With the chemical snow, the fake stuff, the dangerous stuff, it might have been, can't remember. Something happened where the appointment needed to be changed. So let me start right now with the symbology, and please keep in mind that the symbology goes layers deep, and it means so many other things, and I'm not going to sit here and get into all kinds of different numbers and connections and this and that and the other. But I will try and give a little bit of explanation to the things I say, to the picture of the symbol and what it means and what I found meaning in it for me during this process of learning I went through. So I have to give some words for explanation to that picture. So I'll start with that date, the 18th. So to me, I was like, yep, here we go. Yep, 18th, the 3 6s. Because it was a huge issue left over, really, caused by that past fractured life I led as a servant of the so-called beast system. So, and when I came into realizing what I was here almost dead this some years back, I saw myself as that, as a beast, as had been turned into, or have been made a psychopathic type of animal, some type of weird predator rather than a living man with a heart, mind, and soul of his own. Because I didn't. That was under mind control. And then I came out of it and I didn't know I was under it, and it was quite shocking. So, like I said earlier videos, but so that was the 18th, the 666. So I thought that was appropriate inside envisioning things. Something happened where the appointment had to get changed, like I said. And just as she was about to call, I said, it'll likely be changed to the 21st, because that just makes sense, because the 3 7s. And then, yeah, she was already dialing. I held the phone, she was laughing. She said, yeah, you're right, 21st. Said, yeah, maybe it's one of those signs inside me just getting the picture real quick, which now I gotta spin some words so it goes deeper. But just to scratch the surface, it was kind of like, yep, an acknowledgement from the universe or whatever, one of those synchronicities that just lines up. So yeah, I mean, you know, right decision, going from the 666 to now truly the 777, trying to heal the 666, the 777. Let me put it one step deeper with that. The way I envisioned myself at first, the physical, the mental, the spiritual, 3 categories. At first, years ago, when I realized how broken and empty I was, I recognized myself to be so-called categorically, the way I was trying to put things together, as physically in that category of 6 or beast, mentally 6 or beast, spiritually, to say 6 or a beast, I would say devoid of spirit, because I didn't know there was a such thing. Part of that process was finding the transcendental meaning in numbers and nature and things. So the 7, but the spiritual signal. It just cut off for some reason. Anyway, Marty Leeds can take you through that kind of stuff real well. Where was I going? Camera cut off. It messed me up. The 777. Part of that, me during this process of study and learning and reading and reflecting and this and that. Of course, the tarot deck, come across that. Well, I ended up looking at the 8 at a point. 8, the 8 above. 8 turned on its side in the sign of infinity over the magician's head on the tarot deck. The magician. And then seeing that trick, the spell, the 8, the twisting of a circle. So twisting the natural infinity of a circle, twisting it into an unnatural infinity, I recognized of time and space in the description and mind tricks that can be played with a false description of time and space and just reality and matter, and leaving out the basis of what energy really is, the dielectricity and the magnetism being its field and it manifesting from the ether, but all these things. Anyway, don't want to get too far off. I also recognize that, well, that's how you can see the spells. To go a click further, one more number to the end of that, from the 1 to 9 of the physical, of the material, the 9 being the spiral, being the end, and other things related to symbolism and energy, and the spiral of the torus field, centipedal point of. Anyway, I don't get too far off. What I found in me was to maintain that balance, that spiritual balance of those 7s in a spiritual way, in body, mind, and spirit, in a good way. I'm not talking about any kind of, not talking about the way dark occultists take these types of things from nature and twist them, like Crowley touting 777 about this or that, or 9 being the devil's number. Anyway, so it's not that. And I'm not touting any of those hierarchical structures of thought or societies or groups, and I'm part of it. I just learned things on my own for myself. So that's where the symbolism has meaning for me, because I wasn't taught an indoctrination type version of it. So anyway, I haven't even got to the appointment yet, and I've just been going on and on. So anyway, it turned into the 21st. So we went in on the 21st. Started to go through that, the talking, the x-ray, well, the x-rays first. So I got my head irradiated with a whole bunch more radiation, which radiation was part of the damage to my teeth. I'm sure I was surrounded by it in the military. And every time I keyed a hand mic to transmit messages, more radiation, all the antennas. And so it wasn't just the toxins I was injected full of with the vaccines, which I was going to get around to. I just hit it right now. How this happened. So all those toxins from all those vaccines, one of the effects is these decaying teeth. The fluoride that had been put in the water, the fluoride that is a byproduct of the production of aluminum, fluoride that is rat poison, the fluoride that's put into the water, that's put into all kinds of things, decays the teeth. On top of that, during my time in the military, of course, and being cut off and from the empathy of my heart, and having poor cognitive function because of all the toxins I was pumped full of, not recognizing what had happened to me because I couldn't. I was then under mind control, and I couldn't tell how badly I was cut off. I wouldn't. Didn't come to find out till years later, decades later. So anyway, it's all that stuff, and it's all the other metals that were in the processed food and drink, and it's also because I became an alcoholic. So I would bathe my teeth in alcoholic beverages, sodas. The sodas, they're so full of so many disgusting toxic chemicals. Most of this stuff, the processed food and drink, the alcohol, the sodas, all this stuff, none of it should be produced. It's all addictive, toxic chemicals, among other worse things. We're just taught to believe it was normal. It's not. It's not normal. It's not natural. It destroys the health. It destroys the body. It destroys the mind. It also destroys the spirit, or soul, you could say, because all these things affect all these things. So the point was for me was really to put my body, mind, and spirit into unity, into one place to operate from, which I came to know and call later my conscience. My conscience, conscience, together, and science, know. To know together, so to know together with heart and mind what's right, and then to do right action after a lifetime of wrong. Back to the appointment. While sitting in the chair and after talking about the stuff, someone came in and goes, guess what? Hey, we have a seat open tomorrow morning at 7. You want to come in tomorrow and get this done? Well, right there, and about the amount of time I just paused right there, that's about how long I paused in the chair. And then everything I had contemplated before about this, and that anxiety, like that little twinge of anxiety I dismissed just the day before, it all came rushing in like floodgates as I went through a whole bunch of, oh boy, yeah, here I am, here we are. Might as well get it over with. So my appointment was made for the 22nd. So before I get to after, going in on the 22nd of November, adding those numbers together, the 22 and the 11, the 33. Early on when I started looking at things, my route was looking at the legal system because of the empire and such. That's where I recognized the fraud. During that recognition of fraud was, of course, the masonry and the symbolism that was associated. That's where I first started to gain recognition of the world of symbolism we've all been living in. That's where I started to look for myself, to find meaning for myself. At the very before I even started my rebuilding process inside, so to speak. So I'm not using that number because of that, because of masonry, because it's much deeper and there's much more. So the 33 bones in the spine, for me, part of that process of me kind of coming to life was really learning to grow a spine of my own, because I realized I had been a mind-controlled coward my whole life, following orders of others blindly. No true authority of my own in me, for me, always looking to the out there for what was right or wrong and just going with whatever. Being cut off with all those toxins from all those vaccines, that's what allows that. That's what's being done to the children now. Protect your children from those weapons. They've already destroyed society with it. They're trying to complete it. Each of us has to recognize what's happened, turn our backs on the ones trying to cause the harm, and do things different. So, not to get too far off, but the 33 bones of the spine, also the 33 degrees on the Fahrenheit scale of where ice melts. Because also during I had seen an image of a heart with a block of ice. The block of ice was half melted. It was during that time when I was regaining my conscience and empathy, and could empathetically feel and sort through the pain, not only the pain I caused to myself, but the pain I had caused to others, with words, deeds, actions, inactions, whatever. And I was feeling the hurt of that. That's when I realized my heart was indeed encased in ice. And that's when I got recognition in a whole bunch of other jokes that have been just played on us and taught to us right in our face. The pole, ice, the police. The pole is representative of the spine. The ice being representative of being in another's control. Not control of your own energy fully, your own body, mind, and spirit. Tied in a foundation of morality and care, empathy, to not cause harm to self or other, based on one's own authority that comes directly from the Most High, as all of creation does, as we all do. So like I say, there's a bit more. And in me, when I recognize the state, my state inside me change, and I became a more full, live being, a living man, and recognizing that, stripped free of all the labels of belief of ego that have been programmed into my mind, which was a lot of work, to simplify and humble myself down to the basics, the building blocks of what I was, and then to figure out what that was, because it wasn't the name on the corporate fiction birth certificate, slave certificate that's traded in their system on the open market, because we're all supposedly slaves, they say, they and them, slaves for the corporate debt of the corporate United States and etc. Spoken about that stuff before, but this is about this. Like I said, I haven't spoken for a while, I had a lot to say, so this is also good practice for me to try to learn how to speak with these things, because it will be months of healing before I get the permanent type ones that will fit a little bit better. Um, let me go further. What I will not do, though, they want to put the rods into the bottom, titanium rods into the jaw, so the bottom denture will snap in, so can actually chew things. And no, I don't want that, because I want no more part of any of those foreign objects or materials going into my body. That goes right to it goes into a lot of things. But it's also not good with all these frequencies, the vibrations of these frequencies. Were they to hit those metals in there like they were hitting the metals that were all throughout my body and brain, my mind, when I was full of all those toxins and chemicals, well, that just wouldn't be good. And to go deeper for me, because of my past, I don't really deserve to. I'll get to that later. This, to me, is just a piece of what is deserved, I feel. Since I can't just give my life back for the harm I've caused, for the life I've taken, since I can't just give that energy back in repentance and in recompense for harm I've caused to others that I can't correct in this life, my own soul-shattering, psyche-shattering actions I took while in a state of belief that, anyway, because of my dark path, I feel this trauma is deserved. And am I right with it? That's why when I bring up the toxins and things I was injected with, the things I consumed, those were my choices. So not doing the blame thing. I fell for it. I get it. I don't want anything back. I don't want anything. I fell for it. I just want to be left alone from it all now, and I want it to stop being done to others, and for others to stop rooting for it and consenting to it and going along with it, because it being the system itself in all its compartmentalized components. It's all the same system. It's all the same systems of belief. So let me get back to this. Anyway, that gave me some kind of comfort, the 33, in that I was making the right decision, and that this indeed, was getting over that fear to go sit in that chair and have all of my teeth extracted. Would be another piece of ice melted in there that I hadn't gotten rid of. A fear of going through that, and maybe a fear of going on. I don't know, but that's what's a little strange and contradictory, is because I had lost my fear of death. Because when I got here a few years ago, having heart attacks and was in that state I was in, which I've talked about in other videos, it was horrible. But I felt like I was about to die, and I was. So ever since then, I wasn't scared of dying. What scared me at first was not having any answers for myself. After the physical part is done. Because all this is physical and metaphysical. It's just intertwined into one all at the same time. Just a lot of us were were left unaware of that fact and led to believe it was physical, material only, nothing mattered, everything was an accident, so do whatever. Big mistake. Big mistake I made falling for all that. But anyway, oh, the extraction part went, and it happened, and like I said, I'm glad I went through that healing process, because I had to keep myself centered, down low in the heart, and stay there while trying to keep my awareness kind of as dull as possible. So I had a Valium also, so that helped, which I hate the pharmaceuticals, but for this, I relented, because I had the medicine to get that toxic crap right back out. Made a video about it. But yeah, it was to just try and dull the senses enough and just stay centered down here and just know it was happening, and just, yeah, I felt it in each one. And well, there was a whole bunch of gripping the hands, and thankfully my wife was in there with me, because we tend to go now into rooms with each other whenever anything happens, because of what happened to her. She was literally attacked in the dentist chair, and I won't even get into the description of it. Of her having all her teeth extracted is not the right, extracted / broken off by someone who was in obviously a savage psychopathic state, not too much unlike my own at that very same time period. Oh, and that's what hurts so much about looking back and sorting through it all, because there are so many that are deeply broken, and they wear all manners of costumes and labels. The one thing they have in common is they all wear the costumes of the system. Some authority figure, this, that, or the other. Some work for some, well, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's folks that have been taught wrong, been made crazy, been filled with toxins, and got through my extraction. And when I got home, oh, that first day, blood was still just dripping out of my mouth. There was a trash can in the living room. Let me go back to that dentist chair one bit. Yeah, I was going to say, thankfully my wife was there. She had her hand on my leg and was rubbing my leg while I was in the chair. She was sitting at the foot of the dentist chair watching, and she saw some nasty looking stuff come out from, so like, for instance, one of the molars that actually looked kind of normal on top, pulled it out. When we pulled it out, I guess it was black and pulpy, and like the dentist looked at it all weird, and the girls turned out, and like, is that kind of rot? They said periodontal disease, just another made up name. The disease, or dis-ease, was all the toxins that were eating away at my gums, or at the roots of my teeth and destroying them. So I had no chance, so there was no use or no reason for me to go through the other treatments they offer, because those are just torture. Treatments that don't work, that involve fluoride, that poisons, yeah, whatever. So Um, anyway, just having her there, that helped a lot in that contact. So, anyway, got home, trash can was out here, head tissues, was wiping my mouth because my face was, of course, very numb, but very much in pain with all the raw gums, all missing teeth with these acrylic things sitting right on the gums. So even with the numbness, it was a bit painful, and then the pain only increased. But between the blood dripping and all that trauma to the face, and I couldn't swallow, and I couldn't spit, because any of the pressure, it just hurt too much to move, and I could barely, when these would touch, it would just hurt. It still hurts now. Can't you? Everything has been liquid since then. Everything liquefied. Anyway, was over the trash can, and blood was just coming out of my mouth. I couldn't swallow. And I had a moment where the emotion I'm talking about, to let me interrelate, to explain. The right brain, the picture of what was happening in me, and in the picture and conceptualization of life, of what this did, and how life was going to be now, and how I wouldn't be able to chew again. I wouldn't be able to chew those hard things, the things that I ate before. Like when I switched my diet here to get healthy, I started on nuts and seeds because I didn't know what else to eat, because I didn't know what else was safe. Nuts and seeds and vegetables, and of course I stayed at plant-based diet that only got refined over time. But like I said, at first I was eating those kinds of things because I didn't know what else to eat. Now, like this, I can't eat those again in that fashion, or anything else that hard, ever. So it was the recognition, and then the reconciliation process of that fact, of the fact that this just happened, of the fact that, yeah, and right now I can't even swallow. I can't swallow. I can't put anything in my mouth. What do I do? And it was an overflow to where, yeah, I couldn't stay centered down in my heart and just be all right moment to moment, because there was so much trauma, and just overloaded, and tears just started to come, and I just let them come, because part of what I learned here over the last, well, especially early on, was that purging, or good purging or release of that emotion, especially to gain, like I said, some kind of reconciliation, or some kind of catharsis for what's going on. But it helps. My whole life, well, for 39 years previous, I didn't do things like that. Everything stayed bottled up in crazy land and psychopath land in there, and that was a mess. So anyway, yeah, it was an instance where, yeah, it lasted about, well, just some seconds or so, just some tears dropping down, and that was all right. And I think I may have had later that evening, maybe I had a few more tears or something at a moment, having a moment dealing with it. But it was more out of frustration and just the physical pain, I guess, than anything else. Wow. No. It was all, but it was the physical, the mental, and the spiritual Yeah. So it is really like this having a piece amputated from you. The teeth, the things that were used to consume sustenance in this life, the whole life, now gone. Just like I said, I'm glad I changed what I did when I did. Because it's no problem for me to liquefy fruits and vegetables and drink it. It's no problem because I went through such a long process of breaking addictions to the toxic things I was eating and breaking the habit of, I ended up calling it automatic eating, but eating based off of want versus need. And a lot of times I would, well, looking back, of course, that's all I did. I would eat and drink kind of in automatic mode as I stared at the television or whatever. A lot of times the television, though, because while the eyes are locked on that screen, the hands would just be going, and I would just automatically shovel toxins into my face and down my throat and poison myself further. When I broke that habit, when I recognized that I had that problem during that process of getting the toxins out and all that stuff, I recognized, why am I eating all those things that I want? Well, it's because of addictions, because I'm addicted to the chemicals and being driven by really the physical. The digestive system, that talking straight to brain saying, feed me, these same chemicals and poisons, or whatever. When I recognized that, I stopped that. And when I recognized to put right things in my body, I could eat much less and I could eat much healthier and I could feel much better. And I got healthy really quick over time. It wasn't quick. It was a process of couple of years. But looking back now, it feels quite compared to the almost 4 decades I spent the other way. Well, this is getting real long-winded, yeah. I don't know if anyone's going to stick around and listen to all this crap. It's been a while. And I've been sitting in the house alone. Wife's visiting family. So I guess I'm just kind of anyway, where was I? So there wasn't much with that. I reconciled all that stuff pretty quick, got over it. I didn't and don't have that problem of my appearance or being embarrassed. Like I said, that already went through that of the breaking of my own ego, that false perception of myself. And now I'm at that place and been at that place for quite some time where I am not my body. That's where I've lived for quite some time. I'm not my body. So this is just something that happened in my body. It's something I have to deal with. This body is just what I use for this life, for this experience. But I am not my body. It's not the entirety of what I am. Though my body is me. Like I said in other videos, that's the distinction I came to make between the I and the me within me. It's not some schizophrenic thing or split personalities. It's just a simple, not simple, but just, I guess, just a deep interconnected deep interconnectedness of the physical and metaphysical and understanding and feeling it. And living in that way instead of everything just physical or too much like just metaphysical or fake. Either way, you can get lost. So anyway, where to go from here? This. The 33, the dates, the melting of the ice, this and that. So the pillars. This goes with that symbology. The pillars. I'm not talking about pillars of masonry, but pillars of consciousness. Or you could say the left brain and how the left brain perceives things, and the right brain, how the right brain perceives things, and unifying and balancing that. And that pillar being wisdom and the spine. So the 33. I was going to go somewhere else with this. Oh, the date. Yeah. Yeah, that date was a 33 because it was, sorry, I'm getting a little bit lost. November 22nd. So adding those. And then when I thought back to the day before, the day prior that I said the 777s because it was the 21st, I also realized, well, the 21st, if I just add the 2 and the 1, that's a 3, also in the 11th month. So 3 times 11, that day could also be looked at as 33. Like I said, you could do, I'm going to sit here and diagram out all kinds of stuff because it just, whatever. Look how this is already going. Actually, maybe that'd be a good idea. Maybe it'd be a little bit more concise. Yeah. I don't think I can make this all that concise. I'm talking about, yeah, very debilitating physical trauma, dealing with it mentally, and then also relating it spiritually with symbology and things best I can. So sorry if this isn't holding interest. So I was going to go just a little bit more into numbers because anyway, the temple, right? Well, for me, looking at things and coming across things. Putting things together for myself, in myself, the temple, of course. With the path I walked to get here in the darkness. And all the things I would say, and all the hurt I caused with words. And my actions and this, that, and the other. And the thoughts I had. Because I thought it was funny and cool to have the dark sense of humor. To say the things that are shocking and nasty and disgusting. Because ha ha ha. Because I would stare at the screen and I would mimic the dark behaviors. And I just wore mask after mask after mask. Depending on who I was around. Because I didn't know who I was yet. Turned out. So to me, my temple being full of darkness, well, it kind of had to be brought down, didn't it? These kind of, think of them as blocks to the temple, my temple, where so many hurtful, evil, wicked, blasphemous, whatever you want to call it, words past those teeth and past my lips out into the world. And I thought it was all a big joke. And then all those toxins and poisons and those dark spirits of the spirits in that alcohol full of chemicals and estrogen and this and that, that would just and I would just pour down my gullet. That's what I get. To take it deeper for all the animals. I'm not talking Not talking men and women, I'm talking about animals that I killed, animals that I killed, animals that I ate, animals that I consumed, animals that I did not kill that I consumed. All of that flesh that I came to realize later here, shouldn't have eaten that either. It wasn't I needed, it wasn't necessary, because I wasn't supposed to be a predator in a body like this and consume flesh. It's actually designed to live off what the plant and the mineral kingdom have to give, and the sunlight and the energy it gives. That's what's needed. And clean water, if one can find it. And clean air, which doesn't exist because it's all poison. But to me, losing my teeth, I figure, well, that's what I get. That's what I get for playing the role of the predator, or consuming the flesh like a predator. Like I said, whether I killed her or not. Because most of it, I didn't kill the meat I ate. I used their money. I used the belief system they and them instilled in me, that false exchange of currency, of energy, which is currency, which is slavery based on usury. I would just hand that stuff over to someone else because I was a slave of the system, and they would give me those slave papers, those pieces of paper to hand to other slaves who were slaving for the system. And someone killed things and killed the meat and packaged the meat, and then the flesh of other beings, sentient beings, sentient life. And I would get it and I would ravenously consume it, along with the other poisons and things. So for a lot of deep reasons to me, and like I said, they're not trying to trigger anyone. So if your experience might happen to relate to mine, or something I say because of something I came to know, something I came to change within myself for myself, that causes no harm to any other, or someone to get mad at something I said, it might be because you made the same mistake I made, yet don't want to admit it to yourself yet. And I know that feeling. I felt it over and over and over again as I broke belief after belief after belief I was indoctrinated with. But for me, for those deeper reasons, I feel this is deserved. Though I don't wish it on anyone. And I don't want anyone else to have to suffer this to have to go through this. Because there are those other issues as well, of those that still let their feelings or emotions, depending on where it is, because some folk can say things that'll pierce you right to the heart and hurt your feelings. Some folks will say things that are just mean and nasty, like little children, like little adult children will say mean and nasty things that would just give a nasty picture in the mind of the creative side of the mind, right? So it could hurt your emotions. Unless you stop it and you realize it for what it is, you realize it's the whole name calling or this, they're, you know what I mean? When someone is looking at you a certain way or treating you a certain way, well, it doesn't have to hurt you any. The issue is in them. But for those that still have that issue, and with the ego or our perception of ourselves, others' perception of us makes a big impact on some, and it can really screw folk up to where they have to go through something like this to where they lose all their teeth and they're embarrassed because some folks might treat them a certain way or look at them a certain way. My wife gets a lot of messed up living compared to a lot better treatment when she does have her dentures in, because it is the brokenness in others to judge based solely off of appearance. So if you do have to go through something like this, or you have, and you experience things like that, just recognize you're still you no matter what. And your body is only temporary. Your energy, your spirit is what is going to move on or not move on from this place. At least that's how I figure it. Can't say for sure. I'm not the creator. Well, anyway, I think I'll leave it here for now. Because I've kind of don't know where else I want to go, what else I want to say, if anything. So here I am now on this dated as, this is the 21st day. So the 3 sevens again, or whatever. This is 21 days now into this healing process. And, ooh, it's something. So yeah, I guess I'll leave it here for now. I show you, I take these out just to show you, it's just in case. I mean, why wouldn't you? Well, ooh. And I'll cut it off right after, then won't open my lips and I have to see the gums, because, ooh. Anyway. So until next time, whenever that might be. Please recognize what's happened to us all. Start to heal from it fast. Recognize deep. Let others know what you find to help them heal. Cut off from the TV. Don't listen to any of those folks that wear all those costumes. The governments, the religion, the this, that, and whatever. It's all the fake, false man's authority. Each of us, each man and woman, has authority under the Most High in creation, moral authority of the heart. You just had to find it. Then you have to realize you're a living moral man or woman. You want to raise your child in a moral way. What's a moral way? A good way. A good way. There's a good way to protect and care for it. There is. So I'll leave it at that. So I take these out. And I'll just leave that as the last words for now. So till next time. Thank you for listening. And if you listen to that much rambling, well, really thank you. Because, yeah. Make better choices than I did. Quickly.